So how has your practice evolved over the years?
Well, I've been in this practice for so long that I started out thinking of myself, and I may have been completely out of line, but when I was 12 years old, I fantasized myself being a professional artist. So that was already like when I was 12, I had it in my mind. This is something that I want to do every day, and I did. I would go home and I would stay in my room and I would paint all day after school, and it seemed like I would never leave my room. And I started to discipline myself as an artist because I learned that from my father, that he always used to say, it's not a practice that you can do 1 hour a week. He said, if you want to develop into something, you have to put the time in. So I started to train myself as an artist that would put the long hours in. And from 12 on, I started to paint and think of, I really started, in my fantasy, I'm a professional artist. I wasn't, of course, but I thought of myself as that. Time went on, I had turned 16, I had already been painting for a number of years. I had already a whole bunch of work that was fairly accomplished, and people said, oh, the work is good. I had approached a gallery at my first one-man show when I was 16 years old in a 57th Street.
What kind of work was that?
It was landscapes, and it was portraits, and it was sort of abstractions that were like pseudo Picasso-esque.
It's like a cubist sort of.
Not really, but it had a hint of, it was somewhere between like Cezanne, and it had a little Picasso, and I loved Turner. I mean, I was obsessed with like Turner, so I somehow sort of would integrate.
It's a crazy mix.
Like, it was like strange. It was like, but people loved them because they were sensual. Because I loved paint. But I had approached this gallery, and the guy said, what high school do you go to? I said, I go to the High School of Music and Art. I showed him my work. He goes, your work is really good. I'm going to give you a one-man show. And I was only 16 years old. And I remember, it's like, I felt like, oh wow, I finally broke into the professional world of art. I remember going back to the High School of Music and Art and telling all my teachers that I was having a one-man show in a 57th Street gallery, and they all were like, wow, oh my God, I can't even get a show in a 57th Street gallery. And you can, so they all came and they showed up, and they loved the work, and I was the star of the art department for 2 whole weeks until everyone forgot, But it inspired me, and I always felt like, okay, I know what my direction in life is. It was like, I need to put the time into this. I know I can do it, but it's going to be a road, and it's not going to come easy, because I'm the sort of artist, I have talent, but as my father would say, talent is 3%, hard work is 97%.
Yeah.
He said, you do have the talent, but that's not going to get you anywhere. He said, because there are people who have talent too, but you have to have an amazing work ethic. You just gotta, he said, you go to the studio and you work when you don't even feel like working. Yeah. And when the boys invite you out to go party and you say, no, I gotta go work. So that's the way you need to train yourself. So that's the way I am. I'm a worker. My stuff is, as you see, is very labor intensive.
Yeah.
It's labor intensive work. Some painters can dash it off. Every stroke is the right stroke. Mm-hmm. I'm exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
For me, and truly it's true, and Picasso said this, and I agree with him, painting is the process
of creation and destruction. It's the endless smashing of the two together. You create it, then you destroy it, then you recreate it, you destroy it again. And every work that you see in this show is exactly that. Not one work in here did I not rebuild over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's an important lesson. It's like one of the first things that they tell you in art
It's
school.
almost
They
like-
make you make something and then they make you destroy it.
And then like you destroy it. And maybe that was back in my day. I'm hoping that art school now is like, you know, not the training ground, like, oh, you know, I'm only going to art school because I want to be a star, an art star. Well, it ain't, it's not about that. You know, it's not about that. From, you know, art, if I'm an artist because I have no choice in the matter. I have to do what I need to do or I might as well die. You know, that's the way I see it. Is, you know, I have to say something. If ever it gets to a point where I feel in my art practice that I have nothing to say, I'm going to stop doing it. Because it's because I feel that I do have something to say that makes me keep doing it. Of course, for me to get to say it means I have to put endless hours in. I have to separate myself from society in a certain respect because in a way, it's like I don't mind it because I am most happy when I'm working. You know.
Is it meditative at all? Like a meditative experience?
I don't think of it as being necessarily meditative. I think of it as being focused and gripped by what I need to do.
Yeah.
It's like I want.
So you lose yourself.
It's like I lose myself in it, and I'm not telling you that every moment is pure genius.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
that's impossible.
you know, I'm telling you that those moments where it really happens for me, and where that stroke, you know, really does what it needs to do,
Yeah.
it's really a great moment. It's like, I've always said, like, those sometimes when something really happens, and I go, wow, that one was bigger than me, and that's why I do it.
Yeah.
That, to see that moment, you know, to see that moment happen doesn't always happen all the time.
Yeah,
you know.
but when it does.
Well, when it does, it's like, and then when you see that moment, you feel like you can build upon that because you remember that. You use that for the next work. How did you get to that point? So that goes into your vocabulary.
It's like a learned response. Yeah.
And then you say, remember that moment? And if you can bring it back, which you don't always do.
Yeah.
You do it, but
Sometimes the magic is over.
sometimes the magic is over, you know? But it's like, for me, my work is labor intensive, so I have to work all the time. I have to constantly put myself, you know, at jeopardy, and I think of my life as an artist as being on the edge. I mean, it's either, this is not a part-time gig. It's, I feel like every moment I feel like I'm on edge. This is what I love to do. I also feel like some days like I'm dying and like I can't live and the pain of life is overwhelming, you know? It like overwhelms me sometimes because I'm not in the mainstream of life. I mean, I gave my whole life to this, you know?
Yeah.
I gave my whole life. I can't, it's like, I just can't, you know, that's it. Either it's, you know, it's like, that's what art is. It's like, it gripped me when I was young. I knew what I'd be doing. I've never left it.
Yeah.
I've never left it. I can't. It's like, I'm so, it's like, but every time I'm working, that's the moment of my life. I feel this is what I should be doing, you know? You know? And of course, sometimes when I'm not working and I think of all the things, I say, you know, normal people go to 9-to-5 jobs and they have normal lives and they don't have obsessions.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have obsessions and they come home and it's just waiting for their life and then you die. Then you die and that's good enough for them. But that was not good enough for me, because I can't live my life like that. I feel like I can't, I need to leave something, because it's really bigger than me. Now, art history will be the final judge. None of us artists ever know. We never know. We can only hope that it comes to something. And I pray and I hope, because if it all comes to nothing, then art history will decide that. I'll never know, but I'm hoping that the work is good enough and and has a place somewhere. That's my hope and my goal.
Do you think of this work as painting, as sculpture, as both? When you talk about it, how do you think of it? Because there are panels that are raised, and there's relief, there's the very
I see it. There are oils, it's exactly the way I work. There are straight ahead oils on canvas, oils on wood panel, because I love to work on wood panel. There are the mixed media paintings where I do combinations of different techniques, and then I do the carvings,
This seems very sculptural to me.
Yeah, they are sculptural. This one, sculptural relief. But here, and I've been integrated in them sculpture and painting together, but in a way that I really feel integrates. That if there's separate, identities within the work, then then it's just disjointed, and what's the connection?
Yeah.
So here again, I really feel like that they have a strong connection, and that they work together, or else it would have failed. But in these particular works, I feel like they're successful.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but I see it as coming together, visually.
So they can work as both.
Well, and they are. That's why I say I call them mixed media, but I want to call each groupings of work what they are. Those are mixed media. Those are mixed media in a different sense. These are oils. It works for what it is. I don't want to mix everything up together and throw in the kitchen sink.
There's got to be intention behind it. It can't just be like a hodgepodge.
I don't want no hodgepodge, because that's what amateurs do, and that's hodgepodge work just has no center and no connection. It's like just do what you need to do as within all work, but don't do more, because it is true in certain senses simplicity is best. Not that my work is simple, but I like the idea of it. You have to just cut it down.
There are some reductive qualities though about your work.
I think that there are, because
which is making it a bit simpler, but so it is present. But
there is that. After working for decades, I finally got to that point. I love detail, but it's got to work for the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or else it's just I'm not into decoration. I don't, decorative art doesn't interest me. It's got to work together. It's conceptual. It's what is it about,
Speaking about what it is about, can you tell us about your creative process? Where do your ideas come from, relate